So for hackers, it's all about showing them the money. There is an economic benefit to being a hacker, to taking advantage of websites, and to conducting this activity. Ultimately, the information that they collect, whether it's personal information or access to website or access to exploited websites that allow people to store information, this information is valuable and is bought and sold on a regular basis. They can allow themselves to create very complex financial transactions that allow them to cover their tracks, and therefore they can conduct many rapid transactions quickly, and they are difficult to trace after it's occurred. So and enforcement is still in the early stages, so it's very difficult to actually catch and arrest these individuals because they're often not in the same economic region or the same jurisdiction. So a competent hacker, a recent study has shown, can make a comfortable living, and actually the estimates are around $65,000 to $70,000 US per year is the average professional hacker's salary. This could be something that's paid. They could be hackers for hire, or they could just be simply conducting economic activity that such as credit card fraud and user transaction fraud to generate these revenues. But ultimately, there is an economic benefit to the individuals who undertake to do this type of activity. One thing you need to really clearly understand is that hackers are not geeky teenagers playing with scripts in their mom's basements. Ultimately, hackers are savvy, educated, smart individuals that often have education and backgrounds in computers and IT that have the capability and know-how to take advantage of applications that are not using proper security practices. So let's talk about some basic examples of the types of hacking attacks that exist. We're going to cover cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery, SQL injection, and buffer overflow. These four types comprise some of the most common web application vulnerabilities currently out there. First, let's discuss cross-site scripting. It's also known as XSS. Cross-site scripting is achieved by injecting code into a web application to create an intended result. Sometimes this intended result is to display information on a page. Sometimes the intended result is to redirect you to a different page, but uses the existing page of a legitimate, recognized, or trusted website in order to trick the user into going there first, and they are unwittingly transferred immediately to a website that could execute malicious code or capture user information when they're thinking about changing passwords and so forth, and the site mimics the trusted website. Classic example of this, of course, is the bank phishing activity. Bypassing security controls. Cross-site scripting allows you to put special characters into inputs that are on a web application to break them and allow you to bypass security controls. It also allows you to inject false content into a trusted website. This means that cross-site scripting may enable an individual to put in their own special content that then would either execute a script or collect information about the user on a trusted website, completely unbeknownst to the user itself. And also, one particular thing to note with cross-site scripting is that a recent study indicated that 80% of documented security issues had some relationship to cross-site scripting or was cross-site scripting directly. This is pretty significant and very important to understand that this is a prevalent and very common activity that takes place on the net every day. So I'm going to discuss this a little bit. Let's talk about how cross-site scripting works. And so everybody's seen on a website where there's a search field, usually at the top right of a website, and you can type in a search term, and it will return whatever it has on the website or on Google or whatever that contains that search keyword. Well, if you look at this where the section says script type text equals JavaScript, if I type this phrase into that search field, it may return back to me. And you can try this with any number of websites where you type in a search criteria and it comes back, and it usually says at the top, you have searched for X. So you have searched for cooking recipes. And so it will actually write that out. It will write what you wrote in to the field as a search term. As a result, when the application writes that on the page, it thinks that it's just writing out text. Unfortunately, if I write in this script, it will rewrite the script onto the page, and the browser does not know any different and assumes that this is JavaScript that it's supposed to execute. And therefore, it will write out the JavaScript, and that JavaScript will run. And of course, JavaScript, as you know, is the type of scripting language that is used to manage menus. It's used to create pop-up windows. It's used to control all sorts of aspects of your web browser. And it often is the key component to many of the Web 2.0 applications that we use today. So something as simple as an unsecure search field can cause considerable grief for a website owner. Now I'm going to talk about cross-site request forgery. It's also known in short form as CSRF. This is known as one-click attacks or session writing. And the way that this works is that it exploits trusted credentials that have been assigned to a user already. And often these credentials can be accessed as simply as directly through the URL or address bar at the top of your web browser. I'm sure you've gone to a website where you've typed in a URL and you see a pile of alphabet soup at the top. Sometimes you can make some sense of that if you see user ID equals some value and login session equals some value. These values or parameters can easily be altered. And if they're altered, an application may actually send you elsewhere. And it could be that you can use the trust that was assigned to you logged in as one user to change to view the content from another user. Or it could be used to change the access level from one user to another. For instance, I could change a session that I have been assigned as an authenticated user to a different session number that could potentially be an administrative user's session. And so therefore, this exploit can be incredibly damaging to existing user accounts or anywhere where you're granting credentials to secure areas, and those secure areas can potentially have other multiple users, and their information could be accessed or exploited. So it's very important to understand that cross-site request forgery is a real and serious risk to your web application.